Well, we're coming to your city. And if you want a little bang in your yang yang, if you want a little zang in your zang zang, come along. Yeah, come along with the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Woo! Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Whew! Week 2 is upon us. We are less than 48 hours away from game day, which how great does that sound in itself? At the conclusion of the national title game every year, it's a long, cold, hazy shade of winter. Spring brings anew. There are some sporting events that help pass the time with the college basketball tournament, a tradition like none other in the Masters. But nothing fills that void until college football is finally here. And it's so great to say game day is hours away compared to months, then weeks, and then days. So excellent. This is great. So this is our week 2 preview show. I am your host, Blair Parks, coming to you from, again this week, the Man Cave or the Hawk Cave, whatever you'd like to say. My co-host, Charlie Oswald, is unable to join us this week. Hopefully he will be back sooner than later. And him and I represent the black and gold of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Charlie represents the black and gold of the Missouri Tigers, hence the show, Touchdown Black and Gold. So for all of you who've been with us from the beginning, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Much love, peace and love. If this is your first time, welcome. You are now officially members of the Black and Gold family. We have a lot to get to on today's show. And what I'm walking away from week 1. And earlier this week, if you missed it, we did have our week 1 review show. And at the conclusion of week 1, now that I've had some time to take it all in, hopefully that's not something else that I'm inhaling. But to me, there were a lot of questions that were answered. But I walk away from week 1 asking more questions that are yet to be answered. There's more things that we still don't have a good read on, such as, other than Alabama, what team is really good? Who are your legitimate playoff contenders? What conferences are legitimate? Which ones maybe have some work to do? Or, hey, is this team as good as they looked? Maybe my Iowa Hawkeyes? Or is this team as bad as they looked? There are so many questions that need to be answered. I need to see a lot more. So what I have titled this week coming up, this is Show Me Weekend. Week 2, show me what I need to see. I feel like that fan on the sideline with their arms crossed who just simply says, show me. And since I reside in Missouri, the show me state, even better. So let's get right into our week 2 preview. To start you off with, I do want to bring you up to speed a little bit on where the current Heisman race is, and something that I might start doing maybe once a week, probably, maybe even bi-weekly. But unfortunately, I think we did lose. Well, I should say me. I chose North Carolina quarterback Sam Howell as one of my 4 Heisman finalists at the end of the year. But after that showing, as I went through and earlier this week in the review show, I definitely believe that his Heisman campaign is over after his performance at Virginia Tech. So I'm going to bring you up on where I believe the Heisman finalists are, if the other 3 that I picked are still in the running, who maybe has joined the race, and maybe who's on deck. Who's that person on the outside looking in or trying to climb that mountain as I jiggle and wiggle. So the updated Heisman race. I still believe that Georgia quarterback JT Daniels is a legitimate finalist. His numbers didn't jump off the page against Clemson, but remember, that is a legitimate Clemson defense. and a lot of his wide receivers were missing in week 1. So he is still firmly in the race. Also, even though there were some untimely turnovers, and that was kind of what got this player in trouble last year, quarterback from Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler, still definitely in the race, even though that game against Tulane on opening week, much closer than what anybody wanted. I still think maybe they're sweating there a little bit in Norman. Iowa State running back Breece Hall only had, I believe, 63, maybe 69 yards of rushing against Northern Iowa in the opening week. I will check on that number here shortly. But then again, I think that was more or less a potential. We're going to look ahead to the Cy-Hawk game, which is huge for this week, and we'll get to that in a bit. Maybe they were looking ahead to the Iowa game this week. But that Northern Iowa squad is absolutely a perennial powerhouse. Now, some of you might be laughing, but that's a team that has gone to Ames and beaten Iowa State before. And if you recall, and if you don't, I will share with you, Iowa's 2009 year, their Orange Bowl year, a great year. I remember the same year that I got married. It took not just one, but 2 blocked field goals as time expired for Iowa to beat Northern Iowa. They blocked 2 attempts by Northern Iowa due to a penalty. They had a re-kick. Iowa blocked the second one, and that was the difference between taking a win and a loss. So this Northern Iowa squad is definitely legit, and I expect good things from them at the FCS level out of the Missouri Valley. Don't sleep on the power of the Valley. So, as I mentioned, Sam Howell, get out, like Donatella Versace would say on SNL. I have 2 new arrivals. These are 2 quarterbacks that, from their opening week and just their skill set and the teams that they play on and their conferences, have absolutely announced themselves as contenders. My first is Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral. Monday night, watching them absolutely decimate the Louisville Cardinals. Whew, this guy can fling it all over the field. Any throw he can make. He's also very fleet of foot. He can make things happen if things break down. And I did say earlier this week that I'm sure that this team is not going to catch any SEC opponents by surprise. They are aware of how dynamic, how dynamite this Ole Miss offense could be. But you definitely do not want to fall behind against this squad because it is going to be a tough task to tie and overtake them because they are pedal to the metal offense from start to finish. The other quarterback who announced himself as a potential Heisman finalist was quarterback from Notre Dame, Jack Coan. Had a awesome showing on opening night at Florida State. Hostile environment. Now, yes, not your typical strong, uber-talented Florida State squad, but still, having fans in the stands again. They paid a homage to the late, great Bobby Bowden, the coach who passed away in the offseason. And that was just a huge moment, and how Jack Coan performed, excellent. So those 2 have joined the race with Breece Hall, JT Daniels, and Spencer Rattler. And the other person I have on deck, the next up, because of how dynamic their offense can be, already has kind of shown they are, even though I have some questions, is wide receiver from Ohio State, Chris Olave. There's so many playmakers potentially to pick from that Ohio State squad, but I definitely believe he is the one who can win a game by himself at any given moment. So Chris Olave, you're on deck. You are the next up to become a Heisman Trophy finalist. So now, let's move into what's on tap. Now, for 1 second, let me go ahead and just excuse me while I adjust myself. Ving! Yep, I got my game day hair in full effect. I'm in full effect. College football's in full effect. What more could you want? So this is what's on tap. This is the things I want to talk more in depth about for Show Me Saturday. First of all, I need to call out a couple of specific conferences. The first up is the Pac-12. Now, if you missed it, the Pac-12 scored a excellent opening week statement victory. UCLA did defeat LSU, go Tigers, and Coach Ed Orgeron in the Rose Bowl. They were a home underdog, and they absolutely took care of business. They out-physicaled LSU, which I did not see that coming. I did pick them to win, not to brag. That was one of the very few games I got right last week, and we'll get to our pick segment later this episode. So other than UCLA, it was a very weak showing for the Pac-12. And earlier this week, my statement was, are they out of the playoff contention as a conference? And that was a push. During my buy, sell, or push segment, I still think they are right there. They still have one breath of air in them. They are still holding on to playoff contention as a team. Holding on. Walk like an Egyptian. So the Pac-12 is still in, but they definitely could use Show Me Saturday to further improve, get over that hump, or fall off the mountain. They have some huge matchups to where it definitely would cement them as a playoff contender and as a conference that we need to pay more attention to. They have 7 matchups on Show Me Saturday. First one I want to talk about is, and some of these may or may not be in our pick segment, Cal travels to TCU. And this is huge. I think this TCU team out of the Big 12, excellent team. I think they're definitely a sleeper team. And Cal, I also believed was going to be a sleeper team, but they took a awful loss in week 1. So I definitely, I believe it was, let's see who beat them. I did have that in I don't want to get this wrong. Let's look at scores. Let's do scores. Let's do Pac-12. Hold on one second. I just don't want to be misquoted. I hate making gaffes on the air, but I need to do this. Let's see. Pac-12. I think it was Utah State who beat them. Who was it that beat Cal? Let me get this up here. Pac-12. Here we go. And I want week 1. It was definitely a bad loss. Let's see. Cal was defeated by, drumroll, Nevada, the Wolfpack. That's right. The Wolfpack went to Cal Berkeley and took care of the Bears at home. So they definitely need a get-off-the-mat game, but a tough task going to TCU. Next one is Washington at Michigan. And this game has lost a lot of substance. This was a Washington squad that was ranked number 20 and also my pick to win the Pac-12 North, but they lost at home to FCS Montana. The Grizz went in there, took care of business, and now they find themselves no longer ranked. Does it come down to Montana that good, or was Washington potentially looking ahead to this Michigan game at the Big House? So this has lost a little bit of flavor for me, but we'll see how that one plays out. Another big-time opportunity for the Pac-12. Another one, San Diego State travels to Arizona. Arizona lost to a depleted BYU squad. I believe that game was in Vegas. That was a surprise. I did believe that Arizona would win that game. BYU came out on top. So Arizona, got to get your act together. Help your conference. Help your conference. Another matchup, even though it is a Pac-12 matchup, Stanford versus USC. USC, who is a 17-point favorite at home against the Cardinal, they had troubles putting away the Spartans of San Jose State, which I did inform you guys that is a quality team out of the Mountain West, the defending Mountain West champions. So I'm just curious to see, how does USC, how do they perform in the limelight? Because it is the universal dream. Are they going to be able to take care of business and dispatch a Stanford squad that is going through a transition year, which I think by season's end, Coach David Shaw could find himself on the hot seat or on the outs. We'll have to wait and see how USC looks in week 2 during Show Me Week. Now, big one, big time. Texas A&M out of the mighty SEC, number 5 ranked Texas A&M, who moved up a spot after their week 1 victory. They traveled to Colorado, not going to be in Boulder, but going to be played in Denver. So they're traveling to the Pac-12 statement game. I believe this is a primetime game on Fox. At elevation, can Colorado, the Buffaloes, take care of business? They were a breath of fresh air last season. They had a very solid season in a short, truncated season. Coach Carl Durrell, I don't know if he's got things really on the right direction, or was that because of a result of COVID? We'll have to show me. So that would be another huge potential statement victory for the Pac-12 to knock off a top 5 SEC squad. Next, Utah. Utah travels to BYU for the next edition of I Love This. The Holy War is what they have named this rivalry game. So this is the rivalry week for BYU and Utah. And in rivalry games, anything can happen. Utah, my pick to win the Pac-12 South over USC, Arizona State, and UCLA. Going to be a tough task on the road. So the last thing the Pac-12 wants is to have another one of their ranked teams. Utah comes in at number 21 to lose to an unranked opponent. And I don't want to say, to me, BYU is an independent, but they're more like a non-Power 5 team because they are a legitimate program. Last one, and this is big time. Our spotlight game of the week, even though potentially the Cy-Hawk game could maybe be the potential spotlight game of the week, it has to be number 12 Oregon, the highest ranked Pac-12 team, the one that most pundits, most experts believed would win the Pac-12 conference this year, travels to the Midwest and meets the Ohio State, number 3 ranked in Columbus at the Horseshoe. Huge opportunity. And this is actually for both squads. I have questions about Ohio State and actually Oregon. That's why this is a headline showcase game during Show Me Saturday. What team will prevail? Huge. We have huge opportunities for the Pac-12 to better their position, to get on solid ground, or are they going to stay right there, keep me hanging on? We'll have to wait and see during Show Me Week. I'm going to take a moment and harness my inner Mr. Miyagi. Show me sand the floor. Show! Pac-12, show me. Let me take a little swig of water. Now, the next conference I want to call out and put on notice for Show Me Saturday is, it's pretty extreme. Show Me Saturday is the ACC. Very poor showing on week 1. All 3 of their ranked opponents took an L. Clemson, North Carolina, and Miami. All on the wrong side of the stat sheet. But if you watched our week 1 review show earlier this week, I did make the statement that I believe no matter what happened, that the ACC, which would include perennial powerhouse Clemson, that they had no shot at a playoff berth. Upon a little bit of self-reflection, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I think I'm going to rewind that statement. Rewind button. I'm going to take back that statement. I do not believe they are completely out of playoff contention yet, but if things do not go well for them this weekend, they have some big-time matchups with some Power 5 opponents. I think they'll be right back there. I'll be singing the same tune on Tuesday during the Week 2 review, because I did have to remember Clemson, early loss, offense did not ever get on track, looked very vanilla, confused, could not execute. Their offensive line especially. You were already put on notice. You're on notice again. But I go back to 2014. I believe it was week 2. Virginia Tech comes into Ohio State, beats the Buckeyes in Columbus, and guess what happened? Ohio State ran the table. They found themselves in the playoffs, found themselves then in the national title game against Oregon, and brought home the hardware. So it is not over if you take one and only one early season loss. That is proof right there. But they have a lot to show me during Show Me Saturday. So let's go ahead and look at the matchups they have. And these are ones that I have 5 matchups here. And for me to put them back in the discussion, I think they need to not maybe win all 5, but win 4. Which that would then put me even further behind Charlie in picks, because some of these games are on our pick segment. The first one, Illinois, the Fighting Illini, looked great against Nebraska. A little bit of a letdown game, week 1 against the Roadrunners from UTSA, traveled to Virginia. Pittsburgh. And Pitt, if you recall, I said in earlier episodes, this is a potential sleeper team out of the ACC Coastal, which right now, that division to me is wide open, with North Carolina taking a conference loss to VTech. We don't know how good Virginia Tech is going to be. Miami looked a little pedestrian, but then again, it was against Alabama, so, take that at face value. That I think that this division is a little bit more wide open now. And Pitt has a huge opportunity. They travel to Tennessee, to old Rocky Top, to face Josh Heupel. Now, we'll have to wait and see. This is a big game. I don't know who this is a bigger game for Pitt, who I believe is a much more veteran team, or Tennessee, since their fan base wants them to be relevant so badly once again. And by the way, if you've ever listened to the Rocky Top song, which is their, I guess, officially unofficial fight song, it sounds like something from Deliverance. I'm just saying. That's just me. I'm not trying to, piss anybody off. I don't intentionally try to do that. But maybe next week I'm going to recite some of those lyrics for you. You can be the judge yourself if that's from Deliverance or not. Next one, Rutgers out of the Big Ten, who put up a 61 spot on Temple last week. This is not your mother's or father's Rutgers team, by the way, heading in the right direction. They travel to Syracuse, who scored a pretty impressive, even though it doesn't look like on paper, a very impressive win at Ohio in week 1. And another next one is NC State, another one of my sleeper teams that could potentially challenge Clemson in the Atlantic Division. They traveled to Mississippi State, who needed a divine miracle to come back in the fourth quarter and beat Louisiana Tech in week 1. I don't even know what the hell happened in that game, but it is nothing short of divine. The planets aligned. I don't know. I am a superstitious guy. I don't know what kind of juju they have going on down there, but in Starkville, we'll have to wait and see. And the reason why those 4 are big, because those 4 teams still got W's in week 1. Virginia, Pitt, Rutgers, and NC State. Now, the next matchup is Appalachian State goes to Miami. Now, some of you are saying, why is that a huge matchup? Well, Miami was ranked number 14 and then ran into Lord Saban in Alabama, a supposedly down Alabama squad during opening week. Got dismantled, dismembered, outmanned, outgunned, out everything, almost out of the rankings. They fell from 14 to 22. And they do not need a hangover type game against a game Appalachian State team. They are a non-Power 5 team, but this is a non-Power 5 squad that is a big brand. They've had great success in their history. At the lower level, once upon a time, they were an FCS squad. They won multiple national titles. 2016, those of you SEC fans and you, oh, good old Rocky Top, woo, Rocky Top, Tennessee fans, that you remember, opening week 2016, number 10 Tennessee was taken to the brink by Appalachian State, and Tennessee would win in overtime against a game Mountaineer squad. And once again, this program just seems to know how to win. They have a good culture. Scott Satterfield, who is the current coach at Louisville, came from Appalachian State. And also our boy, Missouri's coach, Coach Drinkowitz, my guy Drink, another coach who left, who came from Appalachian State after having great success with the Mountaineers. And so far looking very solid with Missouri. And another thing I have to remind you, you Michigan fans, cover your ears, cover your eyes, leave the room. Whew, probably to me the greatest upset that I ever saw, easily, maybe the greatest upset in college football history, back in 2007. Number 5, Michigan opens up the season at home, the big house, 100,000 plus people, and Appalachian State goes into the big house, shocks the world, down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier. They win 34-32. And that was one of those games that if you were watching, you'll never forget where you were. For example, me, I was at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Carbondale, Illinois, and literally the next table over was a table of about 4, I think, or 5 Michigan fans. Early on, very happy they got out to a lead, but as the game went on, Appalachian State would answer, keep it close, grab the lead. But the great thing about it was the game was in doubt until the final play of the game for the potential game-winning field goal. Appalachian State blocked it. But what I take away from the most is those Michigan fans watching, absolute, standing by themselves, hands on their head, F words, 4-letter words, F-bombs flying left and right, sitting there in absolute disbelief, stunned. But I remember then maybe 2 or 3 tables over, and this is the beautiful thing about college football. The one lone Ohio State fan had his jersey on, had a necklace made out of buck nuts. The whole game, he's taken all this abuse from these Michigan fans, never said anything, but as soon as that kick was blocked, the entire place couldn't believe it. There were cheers. There was, oh my goodness. But his cheer, his fanfare reigned supreme. He absolutely partied like it was 1999. So this Appalachian State team, they're down. And Miami better be ready to play or they're going to be added to that list of Appalachian State's victims. So the ACC, I give you one more shot. Show me Saturday. Get back on the right track. Basically, let's treat it as you are Brandon Lee and the Crow. You have one more shot at redemption. Make them say, it can't rain all the time, and victims aren't we all. One more chance, ACC. One more shot. If you had one chance, one shot. Exactly. Next thing I want to bring to attention during Show Me Saturday is, can the FCS, who scored 6 last week, can the FCS schools score another victory over a Division I opponent? I think they can, and I actually believe they will. This is not an official pick, so don't hold me to this. My reputation is already dangling in the wind. It's hanging there by a thread after my Week 1 performance. But I think the best shot during Week 2 Show Me Saturday is the Indiana State Sycamores travel to Northwestern. And it's tough for me to say that because you all know my man crush I have on Coach Pat Fitzgerald. But I absolutely believe that the Sycamores will leave Evanston with a victory. I hope I'm right, but I also hope I'm wrong, because then next week I might be putting the Big Ten on notice. So let's see if the FCS can score one more victory over a Division I opponent. Next thing I want to bring to your attention on Show Me Saturday is, I already brought this up, Alabama. Now let's go ahead, let's revisit my playoff 6. The first 2 teams I have out are Clemson and Ohio State. I picked the 4 to be Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, Iowa State. I think actually the order I had them was Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Iowa State. But other than Alabama, I don't know, no one has announced themselves as a legitimate playoff team. The usual power players or those who are highly ranked, so many open-ended questions. I don't know who is going to join Alabama, because Alabama absolutely looked the part on week 1. I don't know who else is good. I mean, Georgia, offense. Where are you going to get it from? I mean, their rushing attack looked... They were able to move the ball against a very stout Clemson defense, but they need to score. That offense did not find the end zone. The pick 6 by the defense, that was the deciding factor in that game. So how are they going to score? I don't know. Show me. I'm going to go ahead and once again, my inner Mr. Miyagi, show me, wax on, wax off. Show. Ohio State, your defense, you let Minnesota on opening night, Thursday, possess the ball for 40 minutes. They basically did whatever they wanted to against you. They gassed you for 200 yards rushing. And their offense looked great, big plays. But when you have 5 plays of 50 yards or more quick strike, I don't know if this team is actually able to march the field. Is Oregon going to make them sustain a long drive? I don't know what Ohio State can do in that situation. They never faced that against the Gophers. And the Gopher offense still, even after Mohamed Ibrahim left the game, their stud running back with injury, they still were able to do what they wanted to against them. I mean, it was a close game. So Ohio State, your offensive sustainability, and where's your defense? Oklahoma was supposed to be a very touted defense. Where were they against Tulane? It was a 5-point victory. And Spencer Rattler, I mentioned this during our Heisman finalist update, still is in that conversation, absolutely. But he threw 2 picks, and that was kind of the death of him last year, which that was expected. He was a first-year starter I believe he was a true freshman, actually. So you're going to have some growing pains. But you need to take care of the ball, especially late in the game. You can get away with that against Tulane, but teams like Iowa State, Texas potentially, may not be able to. Texas A&M, the huge game going out to Denver to play Colorado during Show Me Saturday. Can they score a legitimate non-conference win? Now, I don't even know if Colorado is a legitimate non-conference team. They picked up a victory in week 1. I believe they played Northern Colorado, the Bears. So they're 1-0. But since Jimbo Fisher got there, they really haven't had that legitimate non-conference victory. Now, a few years ago, they played Clemson in back-to-back years, played them close, and that absolutely is a legitimate non-conference opponent, but couldn't get over the hump. And this is the $7.5 million man. Show me, Texas A&M, that you can score a legitimate non-conference win, especially away from Kyle Field and the 12th man. Clemson, already mentioned your offense, especially your offensive line, giving up 6 sacks, and your offense only produced 2. That's right, 2 yards of rushing against a very stout, elite Georgia defense, but still, I could maybe even get out there, well, I wouldn't put money on it. I could potentially get out there and score a 2-yard run, and then that's it, and just fall forward. And DJ Uyunglele was under duress the entire game, your quarterback. So your offensive line and offense, you need to score. Now, Iowa State, my sleeper playoff prediction, which most of you are probably laughing at me. Now, they did win in week 1, but were tested by the power of the Valley, FCS Northern Iowa. They pulled off a 16-10 victory. Iowa State, you just need to avoid your usual September swoon. And you've had that every year since Matt Campbell, who I absolutely think is a stud coach. He's the next best thing. He will be coaching at a high-profile school next season. If not, he'll be in the NFL. But every year in September, they always start slow out of the gate. They lost last year to a very tough, ended up being a very good Louisiana Raging Cajun team. But since Matt Campbell got to Iowa State, with all of the good things that he's done, making them a legitimate power in the Big 12 Conference, getting to a New Year's Six bowl last year, he has never defeated Iowa. So you absolutely know this has got to be on his mind. So hopefully Iowa State, can you get through September undefeated? Or are you going to have your usual September swoon letdown game? We'll find out during Show Me Saturday. Let me get a quick swig. I gotta love college football. Next two I want to talk about are the black and gold teams. Boom. Gotta love Wolf of Wall Street. Let's go ahead and start off with M-I-Z-Z-O-U, Missouri. Tough game this week. This black and gold, you are from the Show Me State. You need to specifically show me, have you made the adjustments? Have you done some growth and improvement along both lines of scrimmage, but especially on the defensive line side of the ball? That was my biggest concern coming into this season. The Missouri defensive line last year, even though they are a little bit older, they could not get off the field at times last season. And Central Michigan almost rushed for almost 200 yards against them last week in week 1. You need to tighten it up. They have a very tough road game during Show Me Saturday. They travel to Lexington, Kentucky, which has kind of been a house of horrors for them. They have lost 3 straight games. I didn't know this until I looked it up. I knew that this rivalry or this matchup has been 50-50, close as of recently. But Missouri has lost 3 straight in Lexington. And up until last year when they scored the victory at home against the Wildcats, they had lost 5 straight. I was not aware of that. So this is a huge game. The running backs, because we know what Kentucky's identity is. They have 2 legitimate running backs, Chris Rodriguez and my boy with the best name, not just of running back in Division I college football, maybe in the entire college football landscape, my guy, Kavosiey Smoke. This is a tough 1-2 punch on the ground. And also, to complement these running backs for Kentucky, Will Levis is the transfer quarterback. He transferred from Penn State, guy I watched a lot last year. He had issues at times at Penn State throwing the ball, but he is very fleet of foot. I mean, so he absolutely fits the profile that Kentucky wants to do, which is ground and pound some more, body blow after body blow. But he did throw for almost 400 yards last week. Maybe a new system, having the offseason to do reps and to train has helped him. This is a tough game for Missouri. The other thing, too, which makes this even more of a game of huge importance, is Georgia, to me, absolutely, and Charlie agreed, that they are absolutely head over heels the best team in the SEC East. I believe it's going to be the Georgia Invitational this year. But it comes down to who is going to slide in, slide to the left, slide to the right. Who's going to slide in to the second spot in the division? And these 2 teams, I believe whoever wins this game Saturday night, they are going to have the early heads up and lead the race to challenge Georgia and take the second spot. Now, Florida, some of you Floridians are saying, wait, time out. Don't forget about us. I'm about to tell you right now. I haven't forgotten. Florida currently is ranked, I believe, ranked number 13 in the nation. They did move up over the weekend. Let's see here. I believe they're number 13. Let me look this up here. Yep, Florida number 13. But the reason why I believe the winner of Missouri-Kentucky is in the sort of driver's seat, early driver's seat, at least they're in the seat, because both Missouri and Kentucky host Florida this season. So let's say Missouri wins, and then they're going to have the potential chance to have also the winner of this game will have the potential tiebreak against Florida when Florida comes calling to their houses. This is a huge game. And then can maybe one of these two teams challenge Georgia and maybe not beat them head-to-head, but maybe Georgia gets a loss or two, surprisingly, and they find themselves right there with a chance to maybe win the division? This is a huge game. Absolute monster of a game for Missouri. And this one absolutely made our picks for this week. So we'll see. So Missouri, show me. Show me what you can do on the defensive line and the offensive line. Open those holes for your rushing attack. Tyler Beatty's got to have a big day. Protect Connor Bazelak. You do that, your chances of great success are huge. So, once again, Miyagi, show me paint the fence. Show! Now for Iowa, our Iowa Hawkeyes. Woo! We talked about it. They looked awesome during their opening game when they absolutely handled, embarrassed, waxed that ass of Indiana, a ranked Indiana team ahead of them. 34-6 was the final. And I was surprised. I absolutely expected Iowa to rise in the AP poll. They opened up the season number 18. And I would have shared this with you on Tuesday's show, but because of the game on Monday night, rankings did not come out until late Tuesday afternoon. I expected them to be about 13, 12, 14, that area, mid-teens. They find themselves number 10 in the nation. So they need to show me they are worthy of that number 10 ranking. They hopped a lot of good teams. And also, another thing that I forgot to mention about the Pac-12 is last week they did hop Oregon, Iowa did. Oregon got the victory, but only a 7-point victory against Fresno State in Eugene. So again, the Pac-12 has got to show something this week. So Iowa, show me you are worthy of that top 10 opponent. Of that ranking. Show me your defense is as legitimate as I think it can be or is, or was last week's game more about Indiana's weaknesses compared to your potential strengths? I don't quite know yet. And they're going to have their hands full with the Cyclones of Iowa State. Whew, boy, this to me, I am so excited and pumped. I'm shaking. I'm on cloud 9 to the moon and back. Not only is this the rivalry game in the great state of Iowa, where it's not heaven, it's Iowa, but it's even bigger this week. Here's some highlights from this year's Cy-Hawk rivalry game between the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes. This is the first time ever in the history of this rivalry has both Iowa and Iowa State been ranked. And they're both inside the top 10 to put even frosting on the cake. Iowa State number 9, Iowa number 10. And to add more fuel to what's going to be an electric environment there at Jack Trice Stadium, College Game Day has decided to broadcast the crew is coming to Ames. They were coming to your city. They're going to be broadcasting live from Ames for this game, not going to Columbus for Oregon, Ohio State, which I was very surprised by that. But I think that really comes down to the network, since ABC owns ESPN and the Iowa State game's on ABC. Fox has the Ohio State-Oregon game. I think they went with their network. But this is definitely a potential mutual spotlight game for this week. So this week isn't as sexy as week 1 was. It just isn't. But there's a lot on the line during Show Me Saturday. And show me, Breece Hall, can you still remain a Heisman Trophy finalist? Last week, let's see, rushed for 69 yards against Northern Iowa. Can he pick it up? Is he a legitimate Heisman finalist? And he was my Heisman pick. And also, Charlie, unanimously, he picked Breece Hall to bring home the hardware as well. So you've got to show me. And I already mentioned Matt Campbell. Show me you can beat Iowa. Show me you aren't going to have your swoon in September. Huge game. I am so excited. 2:30 kickoff, ABC. Be there or be square. This is must-see TV. And hopefully we'll see how the game plays out. Next coming up, you'll see how I pick this game, who's going to come out on the winning side. But Iowa, since I am out of Mr. Miyagi references, I'll reference my inner Morpheus. Neo. I know Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu. Show me. Bam! Love that. On the cuff. I love when those things happen. So those are the highlights or what to watch during Show Me Saturday. All right. Last thing to get to is here's the big finish, our Week 2 Pick'em segment. Now, I've already humbled myself as much as I can. Week 1 was not good to me. As of right now, this is where we are. Charlie, each week I pick 15 games. Most of them some will be off the radar games. And we have some highlighted games every week, which I'll share with you here shortly. Our goal was we both wanted to be at 70% at year's end, but we both wanted to be closer to 75. I did not want to lose a single week, so as of right now, Charlie, you're the Week 1 champion. Right now, it's 10-5 to my 8-7. Charlie's looking at 67%, so really close to where he wants to be. Me, I am at a dismal 53%. I got my work cut out for me. I definitely think that I could catch Charlie, but that percentage up to 70, 75, I'm going to have to be on my game. So right now, he's the Week 1 champion. Well done, Charlie. But I'm still the people's champion, like Rod Van Dam, all you old wrestling fans. Gotta love RVD. So let's get into our Week 2 Pick'em segment. And the nice thing about this, I just got these picks from Charlie about an hour ago, and we have a lot of disagreements. This is make or break for your boy Blair here this week. Either I can catch him, maybe leapfrog him, or even fall more in the pit of despair, like the albino said in Princess Bride. So our first game on tap, one of the big ones for the Pac-12. Cal traveling to TCU. I think this TCU squad, too damn much, have too much. It's at home. They're a sleeper team. I think Cal is still going to be a little down and out. I like TCU at home. Charlie likes Cal to pick themselves up off the carpet. So there's our first disagreement. Charlie's going with Cal on the road. Next game. North Carolina State at Mississippi State. Another one of these big games, show-me games for the ACC. NC State, sleeper team. I'm high on them. Mississippi State needed that miracle, the Starkville miracle. I can't think of a catchy, not a Music City miracle, Mile High miracle, whatever. Can't think of one right now. I think this NC State squad's the real deal. I like the Wolfpack on the road, picking up a solid victory over an SEC opponent. And Charlie also likes NC State, so we agree on that pick. Next, Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights under Coach Greg Schiano. They've really turned corner. They are not anywhere near being contenders, especially in the Big Ten East with Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana. but they are absolutely looking better. They travel to Syracuse. Syracuse did handle Ohio last week, as I mentioned. I like this Rutgers team, and this is a huge game in that region of the country for recruiting, the battle of New York and New Jersey. Huge for recruiting purposes. I like Rutgers. Charlie likes the Orangemen of Syracuse. Another disagreement. Here's my chance. If I had one chance, one shot, this is going to be it. Next game, Texas at Arkansas. Woo! Old rivalry renewed game. Last week, I picked Louisiana to go into Austin, beat the Longhorns in Steve Sarkisian's debut. Did not happen. I'm not picking against them this week. Arkansas under Coach Pittman looked much better last year. They definitely have a pulse. I think Barry Odom, former Missouri coach, will get that defense fired up. I just think Texas is too much, especially with this running back. If you don't know who he is, Bijan Robinson, absolute stud, man-child. I like Texas. And Charlie, looks like he has Texas as well. So we both like Texas in that game. Next game up, the Fighting Illini. ILL. No I and I's. Illinois travels to Virginia, one of those show-me games for the ACC. Illinois, the ups and downs, elevator business like what this show is. But some of us are more used to it after being a lifelong Chicago Cubs fan. So the ups and downs for this program. Huge up, beating Nebraska. Huge letdown, losing to UTSA last week. I think they right the ship. They're more physical than Virginia. It's an early morning AM kickoff. I think they'll make the adjustment. I like Illinois on the road. Charlie likes Virginia. He likes the Cavaliers. Another opportunity for this guy right here. Next game up, Washington, the Huskies, big time show me game for the Pac-12, travels to Michigan in the Big House. Last week, I don't know if it was just an anomaly, if it was a look-ahead game, why Washington lost to Montana, but this Michigan squad looked the part. Granted, it was against the Broncos of Western Michigan, but if you recall, I do expect that this will be Jim Harbaugh's last year at Michigan, but this team scares me because there is absolutely zero expectations for them. They're not ranked. Maybe they don't have as much pressure on them. This team scares me. And I think Michigan pulls the upset here at home. And Charlie actually likes the Wolverines as well. So we'll see how that one plays out. The Civil War, Utah at BYU, Pac-12, you need it. I think there'll be too much for the Cougars. I like BYU. They're one of my favorite teams to root for, but don't see it happening. I like Utah, and so does Charlie. Another one for the Pac-12, Texas A&M, top 5 team to Colorado. Can Colorado pull the upset? Maybe the elevation tires out the Aggies. Maybe they catch fire in a bottle. Maybe it's a letdown game for A&M. I don't know. This is a tough game for me to read. I don't know who Colorado is. I just don't. So I have to go with the talent of Texas A&M. And Charlie is also going with A&M to beat Colorado and Denver. Next game up, big time, huge. Maybe my favorite game of the weekend next to Iowa State and Missouri, Kentucky is Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Pittsburgh, very veteran team. I think at some point this season they'll find themselves ranked. They might if they pull off this victory in Knoxville on Saturday. But that home field advantage, 100,000 plus in Neyland Stadium, maybe there's some secret sauce that Josh Heupel has in quarterback Milton, the transfer from Michigan. He looked great in week 1, but he looked great last year for Michigan against Minnesota. Another tough game for me to read. I could go either way with this. I think I will be wrong. I'll say that right now on air. But I like Tennessee with the 12th man. The home field advantage comes through. Charlie likes Pittsburgh. Another disagreement, but I can't fault him for that pick. It's a good pick. Next one, and this is our non-Power 5 showcase game of the week. Every week we'll give you an off-the-radar non-Power 5 showcase game. The Wyoming Cowboys are traveling to NIU, Northern Illinois Huskies out of the MAC. Mountain West MAC title, both coming off wins. Big win for NIU. They traveled to Georgia Tech and beat an ACC opponent in their house. So ACC, show me what you got. I like Wyoming in this game, and so does Charlie. I think Wyoming is one of those potential sleeper squads that can make some noise. We both like the Cowboys to travel to DeKalb, bring home the victory. Now next, this is a very important game, one that I do want to talk a couple minutes about. It's our Academy showcase game of the week. Every week we'll pick at least one of the games involving the military academies, whether it's Air Force, Army, or Navy. And this one takes on a little bit more significance this weekend. Air Force travels to Navy. And there's three things that I need to point out. Now, if you don't know that every year these three academy teams play for what's called the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. So they play each other head-to-head, and whoever has the tiebreakers gets to hoist the prize at the end of the year. They keep it in their trophy case for a year. Bragging rights. Right now it currently resides at Army West Point in New York. But this is marks the 50-year anniversary of the creation of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy, which is a cool little fact. Also, we need to realize the character of these young men who play for these academies. These are men, I love the way they play. They all run what's called the triple option, but the sacrifice that they have chosen to make, not just to their teams, their universities, but to all of us, their branches of service, and just what they'll do when their time is up at these academies. Serve for X amount of years in the military, like Coach, Coach from Hoosiers, Gene Hackman's character. Coach, what's his name? Oh, this is going to really bother me. One of my favorite movies. It was there and then, whoop, out. Coach Dale, Coach Norman Dale, like he said, the sacrifice that these young men have made demands and deserves your respect. This is your team. These boys out there are our team, so we must thank them and realize the character and sacrifices that they have and will make for us potentially when their time at the academies is over. But the other reason why, very sombering, I hate to use the term anniversary because usually that signifies a positive happening or a positive connotation, but this Saturday when these teams meet is September 11th, and that would mark 20 years from the terrorist attacks on 9/11. All of us remember, if you're 25, 30 years or older, you absolutely remember where you were when you saw the news, watching the TV, when the towers fell, when the Pentagon was hit, when the airliner went down in that Pennsylvania field. So 20 years will be the anniversary on Saturday when these two teams meet. Very sombering commemoration. So let us take some time to remember those that were lost and how that impacted our lives forever from this moment on. So, Air Force, Navy. Tough game. Last week, Marshall at Navy was our Academy Spotlight game. We both picked Navy. They let us down. So this week, we're both going, well, actually, I'm going with Air Force. Dun, 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 dun. I like the Force. Charlie likes Navy. So once again, another opportunity for your boy here. Next game, this is our FCS showcase game of the week. I always like to pick one FCS game of the week, game that the teams you may not be familiar with. This week is Central Arkansas travels to Missouri State. Now, Missouri State almost pulled off a shocker in week 1. They lost in Stillwater to Oklahoma State 23-16. Had a shot to win, but the Oklahoma State defense turned them away late. But I have to give a quick shout out. My first golf clap of the episode, might be my only golf clap, to Central Arkansas, and here's why. Last year, they were the prove-it guinea pig team to see, can we even play during the pandemic? Is this even possible? Central Arkansas said very early on, whoever wants to play us, whenever, wherever, we are down. We know we can make this work with our medical staff, our protocols. We feel comfortable. We know that we can make college football work this season. They played in the very first game against the Governors of Austin Peay. So they were the ones who really put last year in motion. So huge thank you to Central Arkansas. That's why I wanted to give them some love. Sammy Sosa style. Do it proper like. For the game, both Charlie and I like the Missouri State Bears to bring it home because it is Show Me Saturday from the Show Me State. Next, we have the Black and Golds. First up, every week, because I am a gentleman, M-I-Z-Z-O-U, Missouri at Kentucky. Huge game. I've already broken this one down. Charlie believes this is the biggest game on Missouri's schedule this year. I definitely think it's huge, but I think another game is the biggest game of the year for them. Because of the issues I have and what I saw last week and also the history they have going to Lexington, it's been an absolute snake pit. And snakes, why they have to be snakes? Hands down, I believe the best Spielberg movie of all time, by the way. I just like Kentucky to get it done. I think this team, they know what Missouri's weaknesses are, and their weaknesses is Kentucky's strengths. I like Kentucky to win. Charlie likes Mizzou to pull the upset and bring it home. And I hope I'm wrong. I want Mizzou to get it done, but it's just a tough task for me to see happening. So another chance for me to pick up some ground on the Pick'em segment. Iowa State is next. I-O-W-A. Spelling bee time for after we score a touchdown at home in Kinnick. I am compelled here. This is a tough game for me. I mean, I am absolutely, I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions here. I really like Iowa's my team. That is my fave. But I've got to go with Iowa State. I just can't see this team having another letdown game. I think they get over the hump. They take care of the Hawkeyes. Now, if they lose this game, potentially are they absolutely out of the playoff picture? For the most part, but then they would have to potentially beat Oklahoma twice in the regular season and in the Big 12 title game and hope Oklahoma doesn't have any other losses. So their goose would not fully be cooked, but it would be basically, boiling. It would be on its way. So I just think Iowa State, both defenses will be legitimate, but I just think the better quarterback, when push comes to shove, who's going to make more plays? I just trust Brock Purdy more, and I think Breece Hall can help ice the game, tire Iowa down. I do believe that the streak will extend to 24 games. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair, but I do believe Iowa State gets the victory, but Iowa's streak of games allowing opponents under 25 points continues to 24, but I like the Cyclones. And Charlie also likes the Cyclones too to bring home big-time victory, but enjoy game day, enjoy everything that game has to offer. The great state of Iowa, you'll be on full display. Eyes are on you. Now our showcase, game of the week, Oregon, Pac-12 favorite to win, travels to Ohio State, to Columbus, against the overall favorite pick to win the Big Ten Conference. Clash of the Titans. Who's going to come out on top? Oregon barely survived last week. Ohio State, I already went through their faults, what I see as their question marks. Definitely need to be answered for Show Me Saturday. Can their defense slow Oregon down? Can their offense actually stay on the field if Oregon limits the big plays? And make no mistake about it, Ohio State is going to score points. You have to really just hope you can contain them, not let them run wild at will like the Minnesota defense did. I think Oregon has the speed. They have the athletes to hang with Ohio State. They have been recruiting at a very high level. Mario Cristobal, the Oregon coach, basically is building an SEC squad in Eugene, Oregon. This is a tough game. I definitely expect a close game. I think Ohio State will be slowed down by Oregon, but I just don't think the Ducks are going to have enough ammunition to win, plus being at a hostile environment. Because remember, I think that was a huge benefactor for home teams last week. Iowa, that absolutely gave them a 3 or 4 point advantage to be at home against Indiana. First time with fans in the stands in almost 2 calendar years. It'll be the same thing at the Shoe. They'll be fired up. So I definitely like Ohio State to outlast Oregon for the victory. And Charlie also likes Ohio State as well. So, recapping, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 games that we have picked different outcomes. So a huge chance for this guy to get back on top where I belong. Now, the last thing I'd like to mention is some potential, what games, Admiral Akbar? Traps. I do have 3 potential, it's a trap, games that I want to bring to your attention during Show Me Saturday, week 2. The first one, Buffalo at Nebraska. Nebraska's heavily favored. Buffalo had a great season last year, but their coach, Lance Leipold, is now at Kansas, who got their victory last week. Congratulations, you're 1-0. Savor it, because you're not gonna travel to Coastal Carolina on Friday night and come out with a victory. Ain't gonna happen. So a lot of those players also transferred with Coach Lance Leipold. So definitely not the same Buffalo team that they had last year. Nebraska is a better team, but next week they travel to Norman to take on mighty Oklahoma. Are they looking past Buffalo? Are they going to just be going through the motions, be sleepwalking? I hope not. So it's a potential trap for Nebraska. So come out ready to play. Next one, Ball State at Penn State. Penn State looked excellent on the road at Wisconsin on Saturday. Huge road victory in a ranked matchup. But I still don't know how good their offense is. Defense looked the part, or was it Wisconsin's offense continues to find themselves in struggle? Interesting stat. I'm going to share this with you. It's absolutely, you have to try to wrap your head around this. Wisconsin as an offense last week ran 95 plays. 95. Only had 1 score after, I think, 3 trips in the red zone, but they did not eclipse 400 yards. That's amazing. That's almost as unbelievable as Iowa's current streak of 23 games. 95 offensive plays, and you didn't eclipse 400 yards. That's remarkable. I mean, you try to figure out the probability of that, good luck. I mean, you need guys who have more math degrees than they've ever had dates to figure that out. But Ball State, and I've already mentioned this as a team to watch at the non-Power 5 level. Good team. They got a victory last week. Penn State is home. I think they're favored by 22 or 22.5 points. Ball State will definitely keep it closer than that. But next week, Penn State hosts Auburn. So will they be looking past the Cardinals of Ball State? We'll have to wait and see. It's another trap. Last one for you. South Carolina, the Gamecocks, who got the victory last week, very short-handed at quarterback, new coach on cloud 9, 1-0, they're enjoying it. They travel to East Carolina, a team that brings back a lot of production. They've beaten Power 5 opponents before. It's the Gamecocks versus the Pirates. If this game, I actually did have this game on the picks initially, but I did replace it with another game. But if this game was on picks, I would pick East Carolina. I think they are a better team, but we'll have to wait and see, because next week, South Carolina travels to Georgia, to Athens, to play mighty Georgia. So will they be overlooking the Pirates? Yar! I think they probably will be. It's a trap. So come ready to play. And that's it. That's our episode for the week. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think. Please share this with anyone who you think would be interested. Like, describe, smash it, thumbs up. I do this for not just myself, but for all of you, the Black and Gold family. Enjoy the college football on tap this Saturday during Show Me Saturday. It's been fun. It's been great. Thank you for all your support. Comment. I would love to share your comments on the air. Hopefully I can redeem myself from my awful performance last week during Pick'em. Until our Week 2 review show, which should be out Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening. Be on the lookout. Until then, thank you for being here at the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, and we'll see you next week. Peace.